Hi, everyone. This is the SEBA call for August 28th. The only things we have on the agenda today are to finish up the JIRA items from last week that we didn't get to. And then if there are any new items that people would want to discuss, we can definitely do that as well. So I guess the first thing is call, is there anything people would like to talk about? Okay. Well, I'm hearing nothing, so let's move on.
Zach,
Yes.
one question. So for the VOTA, the North Forge is going to talk about their testing on Thursday during the VOTA TST call. Have we extended the testing to the North Forge for the SEBA yet? What would that be?
Is anyone in Menlo, is Suchitra in who could, and does she know about this? Or
She does know about it. And then look at, you work with the North Forge a little bit too, right?
So I started the contacts at the very beginning. I was planning to, because one guy left and one guy came in, so I planned to jump into it and accelerate.
Daniel left. Is that Danny or Daniel?
No, it's another Oleg. Yeah, right. And another guy came in, so I plan to. This is one of things I have on my agenda to jump in and accelerate a little bit the collaboration. So,
okay. So for the folks on the SEBA call, so the Thursday TST call, the North Forge will do some presentation and then go over their test cases and their challenges. 9:30, 7:30 Pacific time. Okay,
right.
so the VOTA starts 7, but we scheduled them to come in on 7:30. So if you can join, that'd be great.
Sure.
SEBA has a test plan. They can just jump into that test plan anytime, right? Like others are doing.
Right, but
they don't specifically have to be invited. They can just,
I think right now they're focusing on VOTA and they have some challenges, right, and they want people to.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to understand, because I think we can largely reuse the pipelines and all the works we've done for SEBA code, whatever it is, and without any issue. But I want to understand from them what the issues are, what the challenges are, and understand more.
Because I think we've been sort of offhand what they're doing, right? So, so right now I don't think there's too much. I mean, there's progress, but
right.
But I think we can make it more obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. That's my comment.
okay, thanks, Sean. I guess let's move on into JIRA. So we went over the items that were handled since the 7th through the 21st last time. So I'm going to start with items from the 21st forward. There are 2 items that Jonah did. Jonah's no longer with us. We'd like to, if people weren't aware of that, but we'd like to thank him, post his work at ONF, and for all the great stuff he's done on both VOTA and SEBA and Cord. Matteo, could you speak to these items?
I can take the first one.
Yeah, I can take this.
So the first one, basically, DHCP trap flows for the NNI ports in the OLT. So for the longest time, I think adapters have been sort of just receiving DHCP trap flows for the uni ports and then just mirroring those on the NNI ports, kind of cheating. Hacking in the adapters, but the right way to do it would be for the controller to add the DHCP trap flows for the NNI port. Same thing with the LLDP as well. So this particular checking just does that from the controller instead of having the adapters just doing it by themselves.
And the second one,
does this change remove it from the adapters?
No, that's a separate change. Each adapter should actually remove any hacks that they have done. So I believe the OpenOLT adapter, it's probably a separate story for it to do that. Same with other adapters. It came up because one of the things that we are working on is to have the same ONOS control both the OLT programming as well as the AG switch programming. In the past, we've had different ONOSs doing that. The advantages of having the same ONOS do that is that the link between the AG switch and the OLTs can then automatically get discovered, and that discovery process happens through LLDP. So in order to do that, you have to push LLDP trap flows for the NNI ports. And when we were doing that, we discovered that the DHCP trap flows were missing, and the adapters were doing their own hacks. So that's what led to this story, but there'll be a separate story to remove the hacks from the adapters.
I guess, and how does that relate to? I'm just thinking of the interactions between Volta and SEBA, and presumably that is SEBA presuming at this point that it's Volta 2.0, or is it allowing Volta to be 1.3 or 1.4 or whatever? And I mean, I'm just thinking about double trapping things, or I don't know. Just kind of curious how that interaction is going, and are we presuming that this will be 2.0 and that this will be fixed in adapters in 2.0?
So the SEBA right now is working on the 1.x branch, right? So I think the latest is 1.4, but we are working towards a 1.5. 2.0 is when the new core comes in based on Golang and so on. So right now, SEBA isn't planning for 2.0. It's focusing on the 1.x branch, and the changes to the adapters will also happen in the 1.x branch.
So we need to add this story into the Volta, I guess.
Yes.
This open adapter need to have that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, maybe I haven't been paying enough attention. You just used 1.5. There is going to be a 1.5 branch as well?
There will be, once we have robustness. We're working on some robustness issues in Volta, and once we get past that, there will be a 1.5, at least in my opinion, because I don't know, Sean, I mean, do you?
We can definitely cut the 1.5 release to combine with the SEBA September release, right? So when you say the robustness issue, which one is that?
Well, there is a number of things actually, but and we're working with the foundry to try and get past these. But the problem, what we are seeing is that when we bring things up for the first time, everything seems fine, working. Then we go through the paces of sort of rebooting hardware, or maybe disabling ONUs and then re-enabling them. And what we find is that the traps from Volta no longer come to ONOS, or rather the traps from the hardware no longer come to Volta itself, right? So if you disable an ONU and you re-enable it, and the ONU gets discovered again, that's fine. But 802.1x packets don't come to Volta anymore. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. It's not robust enough that it works every time. Mm-hmm. So that's been an issue, and we are digging deeper into it. Surprisingly, the foundry.
Really the 1.5 work, or the work that's going on in Volta, is related to the SEBA hardening, and is related to what's going on with SEBA, and then those things will as well get ported back into 2.0 at some point in time, and so SEBA aligning with Volta 2.0 is post September. and so we could. I mean, I think we should get to the point where we're starting to come up with a versioning scheme, and maybe September is SEBA 1.0 and it's aligned with Volta 1.5. People ask me these things all the time, and so I think it would be good to say, okay, well, we're going to have SEBA 1.0 in September, and it's going to be aligned with Volta 1.5, and then our next drop will be Volta 2.0 or Volta 2.1, and SEBA is going to be 1.1 or 2.0 or whatever. I think we need to start getting that plan going.
The one thing is I wouldn't necessarily say that beyond September we're going to move to Volta 2.0. I'm not at all certain when Volta 2.0 will be ready, and I only call something 2.0 when there's a significant change, as in bringing in the new Golang core, right? It's not saying that after September we'll suddenly stop working on the 1.x branch with the old core and suddenly move to the 2.0. So, but beyond that, I agree with your versioning comment. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah,
we can move on. Thanks.
So
a number of the folks at the Foundry are here now, by the way.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're past the two items that were Jono's. Mateo, did you have?
Also, the second one from John was simply the OLT application as a dependency, a Kafka application, and it was installing the old version instead of the latest one. So John fixed that before leaving. Then SEBA 200 and 199 were two different race conditions with deleting an OLT from NEM. That has been fixed. There is a new fix that we are going to make that as now, if you try to remove the OLT and NEM cannot talk to Volta, it won't let you delete it. But we're going to make the change and just remove it if we cannot connect to Volta, and the operator should know how to fix that. We're going to make that change because it's much better for our testing and development cycle. But if someone is opposed to that, just let us know. And 164, when NEM noticed that and when you went down, we are just changing his status and removing the flows from the OLT and from the aggregation switch, so that the subscriber needs to go an authentication loop again.
Basically, you have to restart authentication.
yeah, that's part of the workflow. That if that goes down, we want to ensure that subscriber re-authenticates before it can reach the internet. Yeah.
Sometimes the subject and the description just hard to understand. So.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks,
over to you.
The next items are, I think, testing related. Is Suchitra there?
No, she's not. I can speak to those next three. It looks like she worked with Sid to build a new Flex pod, and so I see it right now in Jenkins. So it looks like they're building R-Cord Lite on there. I'm not sure the hardware configurations in that rack or in that pod. Yeah, she would know about that. And then the next two are scenario-based test cases. It looks like the first one is related to the zero-touch provisioning profile we had. So we have that automated, and the ping test going through that, as well as the SEBA, so SEBA 97 and SEBA 134 are two different scenarios. We did a ping test for when a subscriber is enabled, disabled, and then also when you have the scenario where you have to push the IP MAC to the subscriber through exhaust, only then we accept it to pass. So we have those scenarios tested out, and I know she's working on now all the AT&T workflow and the whitelist scenarios. So it'll be closely related to this, but yeah, we have a base platform in how we're doing the P tests now. So we should be able to automate a lot more scenario-based test cases.
Okay, thanks, guys. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. The next item is mine. SEBA 104 was making a Helm chart to deploy Elasticstack in a SEBA pod. This involved getting Elasticsearch and various other log sources going and pulling data off of the Kafka bus and putting it into Elasticsearch so for later analysis. We discovered a few bugs, including some bugs in upstream Helm charts that we had to get fixed. But that's working and can be implemented today. There's still a few documentation things to go on that that I need to get through. The last item is, I think this is Nick at the Foundry.
Yes. This one was to establish test cases and list of scenarios that we need to make sure we have working. It's a duplicate from, there is a document in the Google Docs in the wiki that lists such scenarios. So
yeah, we just need to reconcile the testing we've been doing with that, you know, which kind of goes along with a lot of the durability stuff we're doing with Volta anyway, regarding, you know, restarting OLTs and ONUs and killing pods and, you know, things like that.
So I just added a few things over there, and then the rest is already in progress by the rest of the team.
So I guess we just need to read through that. Of that. Speaking of that, though, yesterday we mentioned that currently I think it was the workflow deployment was, I don't want to say broken, but it was in pieces and wouldn't quite work right. Is that still the case today? I want to try to do another build and grab a snapshot of those images so I could have a couple other folks try it out and have it not change from day to day.
Yeah, I think the Foundry was supposed to push a fix for that piece that was broken.
Yeah, no, we did push the,
Yeah, no, I'm more talking about the SEBA side where, for example, if I deploy XOS ATT workflow and the synchronizers, ONO synchronization doesn't quite work right. And I think Scott Baker mentioned something yesterday about something in one of the synchronizers, so wasn't ready yet and it would be maybe in the next couple days. I tried it yesterday, it didn't work, but I knew that he had said that, so I was just wondering if there's kind of an ETA on when I could, if that would work again.
Yeah, we, Zach, could you update the list of done things? I resolved a couple while we were on the call, but I have, we've merged two patches in. Yesterday, one of them was the chart versioning issue. Yeah, let's see. I don't think that one has a JIRA item, but the other one was, let's see, it just scrolled. OLT service model policy file fails trying to instantiate ONO service instance. So that one was fixed. I think that's the primary one that I was suggesting you hold back for. So that one is.
Was that the one that would prevent the apps from loading in ONOs properly, say this AAA? Does that sound familiar?
No, but that does sound familiar that I ran into that issue myself. I'd have to think about why I was experiencing that.
Okay. That's what I noticed yesterday afternoon when I tried it. I couldn't get any of the OLT, SADIS, AAA apps to load. It looked like there was like an ordering problem where it was being shoved in before other requirements had already been installed.
So one of the issues, there was one where so I think this one may be resolved. There was an issue where we were, there was a mix-up, the SEBA 198 between nulls and zeros that was causing some issue with the dependency resolution in the ONOS apps when the ONOS synchronizer was trying to apply them. And that required us to refix some of the charts in our Docker file, the master version. So that chart patch, I think, was pushed either last night or this morning. So that it should be ready for you to give it another shot now.
Okay, all right. I will as soon as we get out of here.
Yeah, and then the other thing, Zach, I had on the list was SEBA 117, the custom cross-connect config that is done now. So we can create the custom cross-connect for that one VM that needed to be cross-connected.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Sure.
Moving on, I'm going to look at in-progress items. So a bunch of these are Michael Zadek, 4, 6, and 5.
Yeah, those are they're all related, and probably need a little advice as to how to go take the next step here, because Chip Bowling and I are working on that, and it's been posted into Cord, the Cord source, and under the Volta extensions, and so they're there and available. And I think the next steps are to start trying to get feedback from other people who are using it. And to date, I spoke with Chip earlier, and to date, I mean, it's really been William Glasser who's been, Michael Glasser who's been doing it, and giving us the most feedback. So
is that Gasser? Is that me? Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
I think
Mike
Gasser, not Glasser.
No, it was
There's someone called Glasser too.
Glasser, yeah.
Oh, well, that's confusing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you looking for me to do a code review? Or I haven't been working with Chip that close. You're saying Chip was saying that I was working with him giving feedback, or am I just been giving feedback?
What's name?
It's a different. I think it's a different person. Glasser versus Gasser. There's two different people we're talking about.
Oh, and we're both Michael? Oh, wow. Okay, that's confusing.
Is it? Well,
It's post Michael, but anyway.
Anyway, we haven't gotten very much feedback. That's basically the bottom line. So,
and the feedback you're looking is for code review?
no, so the code has been reviewed. It's more, is it sufficient to for the alarms that are being handled? I know there's some outstandings there, and then on the KPIs themselves, there's a fairly large number of KPIs, and so Chip had indicated that, you know, he wants more people to give feedback. Do we need to add more into the models so that people can sort of mix and match or pick things out as they need it?
This is SEBA 5, so all the SEBA 4, 5, and 6, these things are, so the feedback you're looking for is in the JIRAs themselves?
Yeah, I would expect that that's where it should be. You know, to get people approved. Other than that, I mean, the code has been written and it's actually in use in the AdTran and in the OpenOLT drivers.
and the Broadcom one. If it's Open OMCI, then.
Well, he's done the Open OMCI. I haven't implemented any Open.
No, I'm saying the Open OMCI framework is in use now by the AdTran ONU and the Broadcom ONU. So if it's used in the AdTran,
Everything is fully propagated.
yeah. Now unless there's something, a new state machine or a new workflow that needs to be added. Right now, both use the same.
So is the idea though that for SEBA to use the same models and libraries, they would pull in the Volta code?
They would go to the extension libraries. They could reuse those or pull that code in and use it, because that's where the KPIs and alarms are getting generated from.
Well, yeah, but there'll be others that'll come from other places, right?
Well, but they'll be pushed. They'll be ultimately pushed on Kafka, and we are reading them from Kafka. We're not using any of the Volta code for that.
For code generation purposes. Right. I mean, it sounds like get it into Kafka and then.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, ONOS should be generating alarms and metrics.
Yeah, the
The Trellis, if you're using it, should be also generating stuff, but they should all follow the same model so that you don't have to write custom parsers at the other side of Kafka.
Right.
So I'm just, so Saurabh, is that what you guys are thinking? You're going to pull that code in from Volta that you would use for the other items?
Right. Yeah, everything feeds into the Kafka bus that NEM would pull out of and possibly send it forward or display through our monitoring stack. So I think someone from the NEM team should also take a look at these models and possibly. So I mean, in the past, I think Teo, you've been looking at these models. You've been pulling stuff off of the Kafka bus.
Yeah. So I discussed it with Chip, the format roughly when we were in Atlanta, and then I looked at the Chip patch.
Okay.
And the format absolutely worked for me. I've not updated the parser yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think someone from the NEM team is also going to look at this.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
And it's documented in the README files under the extensions for the alarms and for the KPIs and the OMCI.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Mike and everyone. I think the next item is a testing item. Is it Kailash?
Yeah, let me look here. Okay, yeah, QCT pod 1 had been reconfigured to the Kubernetes-based pod, and yeah, so that build job is running. There's no OLTs or OUs in this pod though, so we're just building the profiles and installing Kubernetes and then running through XS tests. No data plane test on that pod as of right now.
Is that a SEBA pod or is it our core pod?
SEBA pod.
They're the same thing now.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
But do they come with a spine?
No, it's a single switch.
Okay.
Yeah, and this particular pod doesn't have any. We have a shortage of equipment, right? I mean, both for development and for QA. This is a QA pod, so we don't have any equipment as in OLTs. We have plenty of ONUs, just no OLTs. That's why we are waiting very anxiously for PONSIM to come up, so at least we can emulate ONUs. So anyway, that's. So I think you're done with that, right?
Yeah, in that pod, by the way, we have 4 switches. So the issue is really OLTs, because assuming we want 1 switch per pod, if we have 4 OLTs, we could have 4 pods in QCT.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Okay. Next was 802.1x authentication. This is Keita.
If he's not online, I can take that. So BBSIM right now, it's meant to simulate many hundreds of ponds, if you will. So right now, it can do up to the authentication step, I believe. So he's working on DHCP, but I think this authentication one is done. But I'll let him confirm. He can generate many OLTs and ONUs and go through a process of 802.1x authentication. I believe this one is done. He's going to start working on the DHCP part.
Okay, thanks, Saurav. Andy, you have 2 items that are PONSIM related.
Right. So this is the main one. So I've been working on running SEBA with PONSIM and Mininet to emulate the AG switch and the BGP router and the DHCP server. It's almost completely working now. The last piece is to hook up the switch in Mininet to ONOS and add the configuration to get that working. But I've seen it work end to end with that switch just running as an OVS bridge without ONOS being in control of it. So I think once I get this the final configuration in ONOS for the switch, then everything will be working. So I think the next step is, as this ticket says, I need to document it. I think I'll do this in 2 pieces. First, just get a Google Doc that runs through the entire process of setting it up. That will duplicate some information in the guide, but I think it's important for people who want to give it a try to have that document. And then I'll start working on figuring out how to place the information in the guide so it's officially out there and people can start using it. Yep. That's it.
So how soon can we have the Google Doc version?
How soon? I think in the next day or two, I should have that. Let's say 2 days. Yeah, by the end of the week for sure.
In 204 here, this is a problem.
Right. This is part of. So the issue here is that Kubernetes doesn't really like it if you run DH client inside a container, because Kubernetes wants to control the assignment of IP addresses to interfaces. So I have to do some tweaks and jump through some hoops to get that working. It mostly works right now. What I'm seeing is I have a process, it throws an error, but it actually does update the IP address and then I can run the end-to-end. So I figure that's good enough for right now, and I'll circle back later and see if I can get rid of the error that pops up.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Next item is mine. NEM components pushing logs to Elasticstack. So this is setting up Elasticstack to accept items from XOS and various other pieces of the stack. Right now, this is basically making a log exporter from the XOS components into Kafka. And I have this working. It's in testing right now. The next item, SEBA 158.
Zach, I haven't followed the last patches, but is there already a patch to deploy Elk-Stack?
Yes, there is. There's 104 that does that. I just need to get documentation for that to go.
Okay.
The next item was 158, test plan for the September scenario. I think this is the document that this test plan document that exists on Google Docs, and you can see linked to from the call agenda.
Yeah, so I think QA team, myself, Nick from the Foundry, we've all reviewed it and added our comments. There's still other members of the team, people like Luca, the NEM team. We still need more input. So I've been asking folks, when you get a chance, to take 30 minutes out and update the test plan, please.
158?
Yeah. Is there a link to that document in this JIRA?
Let me make sure there is. I can add that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 159 and 160.
I can take the next few. So these are all related to LACP and lag on the ACK switches. So I've been testing the switch functionality. So that's SEBA 161. So the switch exports the capability of creating these L2 load balancing groups, which is basically the lag groups. And I encountered a bunch of problems with not the creation, but the editing of the group. So adding more members or removing members. When I was removing members, it seems like it was reporting it was fine, but actually it wasn't. So I could empty out a lag group, and but I can still pass traffic through it. So I've informed Broadcom. Broadcom pushed a fix for it, I think, yesterday, but I've yet to check that. Meanwhile, Charles was working on LACP support on ONOS, and basically he has it to the point where he can speak LACP with something external, like a BNG or possibly a host. So he's got probably SEBA 159 is complete. He just hasn't had time to move it to being done. 160 is the more of the logic on the app level. So that is definitely not done, but I believe 159 is done.
Okay, thanks, Saurabh. Matteo?
SEBA 202 is it's actually done. We were missing a parameter in the subscriber model for authentication against the upstream BNG. It's there now, so next time you get the upstream images, you should find it. It's an optional field, so it shouldn't break anything.
Okay, thanks, Matteo. We still have a few unassigned items that are in the September release. Most of these, I think we've been over already. Some of them, like 152, I think I think that's something Andy's working on, and a bunch of them are FCAPS related. Do we, because it's basically the beginning of September, do we have priorities that we want to set on these to what we should work on sooner rather than later? I guess I'm concerned that that since these are unassigned, they might fall off the plate for the release.
DHCP relay, SEBA 144. We are actually already pushing the state machine events on Kafka, so we can probably get those in.
Who should I assign?
I would say the first three, operational status of EAP and DHCP, probably the big ones. The rest of them seem to be either simulation related or metrics related, which, I mean, are important, but functionality to me is paramount. So being able to see the status of EAP and being able to troubleshoot that is probably a big one.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, also the EAP events are on Kafka already.
Yeah, that's okay. So,
so 140 read events published from Volta. I thought that was already there, right? Isn't that happening? Or do I not understand what that means?
We're reading the KPIs for now.
We haven't worked on the alarms yet. So
okay.
This is kind of a dependency on Elk Stack, because Prometheus wasn't able to store non-time series kind of data. Now that we have Elk as part of NEM, we can start working on these stories.
yeah, these are going to be picked up and or assigned over this week, Zach. I think we'll talk about it. We'll get these assigned with the priorities that were just mentioned. Some things like 153, and in fact 153 Kieta is working on it, so that can be assigned to Kieta. 152, I think the Andy's working on it, so that's those can be assigned. But the others, the more important ones, the ones from the top operational status ones, we'll find a way.
I think SEBA 175 is done as part of the workflow from
remove its service instance chain. Oh, I think they did. Oh, is it? Okay, we can try it.
Okay. It sounds like we're going to get these all assigned, and
yep.
And so I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Are there any things that people in the review see that or think we need that haven't been created in JIRA, or maybe are not in part of the September release that need to be promoted? There are items that are, if we look at the versions, are not in or in either the future release or are in the issues without versions, which are items that are between September and future. I guess a lot of these would need a review individually. If you do see an item that you think needs to make the release, let me know. Or make an item in JIRA and then either bring it up to me or assign it to yourself or take the proper action. I'll keep track of those as they're added in the next meeting. Okay, I think that's everything. There's links to the test plan, and I guess that's everybody's homework is to go review the test plan and make sure it covers everything we need. And other than that, if there are no other new items, I'm going to call the meeting.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks.